Hello, American citizens. I'm going to teach you today about a very important American document. It's called the United States Constitution. And this document, even though it's hundreds of years old, we still use it today to help us create laws and keep us safe. So cool. And as I was thinking about our Constitution, I was thinking how Ballet kind of has their own constitution. It's called the Student Handbook. And inside the Student Handbook, there's some rules that we follow. So think for a second. Turn your brains on. Turn them up, turn them up. What are some rules that we might follow at school, whether we're online or in person? Maybe things that can keep us safe. Things that can keep us responsible. Yeah, coming back to you now. Be kind, be safe, be responsible, be respectful. Those are the main ideals, our principles for our school rules. But more detailed ones that we have in there, some amendments that we've added might be dress code things, making sure we're not plagiarizing or copying from other people. So we have our own rules in our school to keep our students and our teachers and our families safe. So America has their own kind of student handbook too. It's called the Constitution. So say Constitution. I don't hear you. Constitution, okay? So the Constitution is a written document that was created at the end of 1787. You're probably thinking, whoa, that's a long time ago. Who cares, Miss Moran? Well, you should care because the Constitution is still affecting you today. What you can do and what you can't do. So the American Revolution was a war between England and America. And remember, the reason we went to war is because we were in a monarchy where there's one ruler, a king. And we were like, nah, sorry, peace out. We don't want a monarchy anymore. And they wrote the Declaration of Independence, like I taught you the other day. Oh, remember National Treasure, that movie? They were talking about the Declaration of Independence. So once we won that war, years later, the Founding Fathers created a rule of law called the Constitution, and all the states had to follow it. Now, here's some things about the Constitution. So it was written to create a new government for our country, a brand new one. Can you imagine that? Our government's gone, and you and your friends have to sit at a table and just say, what should we do? What kind of laws do we want, right? So all these people came together from different states and decided what they wanted in their constitution. So it described the power and organization of our government and the rights and powers reserved for the people and the states. Okay, so I want you to notice something really carefully here. What words pop out on the screen to you here on this document? They made the words, "we the people," huge. Why do you think they did that? Remember, our old government was a monarchy where the people didn't have any power. In this document, they're making it loud and clear that the people have the power, right? We the people. Okay, so in other words, though, it describes how laws can be made, enforced, and interpreted. So states cannot create laws that conflict with our Constitution. So say I was in charge of the state of Texas and I said, all females are not allowed to tweet on Wednesdays. Okay, or allowed to make TikToks on Wednesdays. No, I cannot do that because one, it's discrimination, and two, it limits your freedom of speech, which are outlined in some amendments of the Constitution. So the Constitution also limits the power of the government. And remember, we wanted to stay away from what England was doing, right? Or Britain, I'm sorry, right? They had one power and one king, and they made all the rules for everyone. Now they're saying we don't want the government to have all the power, right? We want to split it up evenly. We want the people to have some power. Maybe we'll split it up between the president, the Senate, the House of Representatives. And so they created something called checks and balances too. So the president can't make all the rules and the Senate can't make all the rules. They kind of balance each other out. Pretty neat. It's all, if it helps you remember it this way, it's a way to make it more fair for the citizens, for the people they elect, and for our country in general. It's a very fair system. Okay, so I want us to read along in the textbook together. So I'm on the third paragraph on page 82, okay? So you can read along on the computer or in the textbook, but notice how I highlighted and underlined certain things. Those are things I think are important, and I think you should too. Okay, so the main sections of the Constitution describe how government works. They explain how this country's leaders will be elected. They define and limit powers of national governments. So again, they want to stay away from being one leader like a king. These powers include things as different as creating post offices, collecting taxes, and declaring war. All right, so our country was young when the Constitution was written. Okay, so I'm going to summarize this right here. So it was really, really young when it was written. It was written a really long time ago. And as we know, a lot of things change over time. So when this was first written and they were done, they're like, yay, okay, it's finished. They realized they made a big mistake. They left out a ton of stuff. So what they needed to do is they needed to create something called amendments. Say amendment, an amendment. Ugh, it's kind of like a tongue twister. Amendment. Okay, so an amendment is an official change, and amendments must be approved by Congress and the states. So basically, an amendment is something they want to add on, so like another rule. And I'm going to show you them in a second, but they're really hard to change. So this has been around for a really long time. So was it 1787, I believe I said? There's only been 27 amendments added to the Constitution. So it's not something that happens very, very often. Okay, so now tomorrow we're going to be talking about the Bill of Rights and how we added amendments to them and how some of these amendments affect you today. Here are some of the amendments that I'm going to show you tomorrow. They're part of what's called the Bill of Rights. And these, again, are things that they didn't put in the first Constitution, but as things change, they realize, oh, we need to add this in. Oh, I forgot this, right? Like I said, in writing, things are always changing. Your writing pieces are not done. Same thing with the Constitution. Okay, so one amendment, which is super important and affects you every single day, is the freedom of religion. So you can practice whatever faith you want. You also have the freedom of speech. You can say and do what you want within reason. And you have the right to assemble or to protest, right? Because think about it before. Colonists weren't able to protest the king without fearing for their life. So now they have that ability. Okay, some other things, for example, this sounds crazy, but it used to happen in the US. So the Redcoats, when they were in the United States, they decided that they can just take over whatever house they want. And so it says, in no time of peace or in war, can a soldier go into your house without your consent? And this used to happen. Redcoats would just kind of take over and use your bed and go into your house for protection, and you didn't have a choice over it. So isn't that crazy that they have to add that on? But it's, again, they add amendments to keep us safe. So boys and girls, what you're going to do now is you're going to explore and go to Brainpop. So you're going to click on me in the social studies room, and I'm holding a scroll. When you go into Brainpop, and the username and password's on the board. When you go into Brainpop, I want you to watch the video, and it tells you a little bit more about the Constitution. Afterwards, I want you to take the quiz, and no, it won't count towards a grade. I just want to know how well you did. Okay, so you're going to log on, take that quiz, and then again tomorrow we're going to learn more about the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. All right, have a wonderful day, citizens.